Welcome back, everybody. This is Tucker. Let's talk weather. In today's forecast, we're saying goodbye to one storm and looking ahead at the next one, which is set to arrive towards the end of the week and provides a threat for severe weather and a winter storm. But don't forget, temperatures are changing a lot too. We'll break down everything you need to plan for in the next few minutes. Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you've had a great weekend. Really happy to have you here. We continue to get closer to my favorite month of the year, which is May. You get severe weather, you get warmer weather, longer days. I just think it's the best month. That said, we're also getting closer to allergy season, so if you're like me, the next few weeks can be a little bit of pain, but we'll get through them. Wanted to get this out of the way early, but if you have any weather questions, maybe you think of them during the video or you just come up with it days later, feel free to ask. I love talking weather and I want to help you guys out. But in the meantime, let's get into our forecast now, and we're starting with a look at this storm, which right now is moving through the central part of the country. We'll talk about this briefly early on, but I did more of my coverage on this on the last video. That said, we're looking at a chance for some severe weather. You can see out here the southern portion of the system could bring some large hail, damaging wind, a chance for tornadoes as well. And there is some snow falling on the northern end of this storm too. Everything is moving east. And like I said, let's take a quick look at this and then prepare you for the next storm, which may be even bigger and is coming later this week. As mentioned, before we get into this next big storm, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about what was happening right now. And we'll give you a look at this system, which is continuing heading through this Sunday evening and into the overnight hours across the south. You can see those orange colors showing up there on our simulated radar. That is a severe weather threat. Those are storms. And in the north central U.S., Great Lakes region, you can see on the other side of things some moderate to heavy snow falling. And as we continue to move this into Monday, you're going to see that threat for storms in the morning right along the Gulf Coast as this continues through the overnight. And that chance for snow extends into the northeast. It'll fall mainly as rain in southern New England, but northern New England could pick up a good snow out of this. So ski season may be extended just a week longer. And you can see eventually as we get into Tuesday morning, this system begins to move out. But I do want to show you that severe weather threat and how much snow may fall. So let's get to that right now. There's our risk today. You can see a level 2 risk across a good chunk of the southeastern U.S. And as we move this into your Monday morning, there's your threat extending to the Gulf Coast. It is a triple threat. We're talking the potential for tornadoes, wind, and hail. Wind seems to be the greatest concern from what I've looked at. Tornadoes, secondary threat, hail sort of tertiary. In terms of amount of snow, we can also take a look here at the Great Lakes region, which is where you're seeing totals that may be on the order of 6 to 10 inches possibly in north central Wisconsin into the upper peninsula of Michigan. We'll see some snow in northern Minnesota, some snow across northern Michigan as well. On the mitten, we're looking at it could be 3 to 6. Great Lakes will produce a bit of extra snow too right along those lake shores. And like I said, into New England, we're also looking at in northern New England, especially in those mountains where we may see another 6-inch snowfall. Most of northern New England will be anywhere in that, 1 to 3 range if you're sort of right in the border there. But a lot of northern New England will see about 2 to 5, 3 to 6 inches of snow. So enough, again, to coat the grounds pretty easily. And like I mentioned before, too, you can see that enhancement on the lake shores. But I want to get into our next storm as that is a few days away. And I want to get you an early look at what is coming our way. So the storm I'm tracking for later this week is looking like it's a bigger deal. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do so you can stay on top of this as we continue to track it. But I'm going to start you here with our map. We're looking at Tuesday, and I'm going to quickly move this through the week as things get more interesting with each day. Tuesday, honestly, going to be a nice day across much of the country. It's a quiet one, so take advantage. Here we are on Wednesday, and what you're going to begin to notice as we get into Thursday now are a few storms beginning to pop up out here in the central U.S. It doesn't look like much, but we do have a weak disturbance. It'll be right around here coming off the Rockies. And so I'm not, ruling out the chance for some storms. An isolated severe storm is possible somewhere out there on Thursday. You're going to notice, though, as we get into Friday, storms begin to develop, especially in the southern U.S. And this is as our next system begins to develop. This is the 28th here on Friday. This is also a really quick moving disturbance. It's not particularly strong, but I believe it's going to pull some moisture out from the Gulf, and it will develop some snow a bit farther north here as well across the Great Lakes. So once more, I am looking at what may be a low severe weather threat out here and a chance for some winter weather a little farther north. So just something we're watching on your Friday. But it's Saturday that things become a bit more interesting. First of all, you can see some rain and snow reaching the northeast. Exactly how that shakes out, we'll have to watch. There's a lot of uncertainty between how much precip we actually get I'm not convinced there will be very much, but it is worth watching. On Saturday, the other thing that happens, though, is we get a little more, here we go. On Saturday, we get a little more activity. You can see that out there across the south central U.S. and the Plains region. What we're seeing out here does have the potential to be some severe storms. It's hard to say right now how organized that convection is going to be, but there is potential. And then out here, this is a front beginning to develop. That's where we have the potential for some storms as well, though likely not severe. However, it can't completely be ruled out. Later on Saturday and into Sunday, though, you're seeing what is going to be perhaps our most impactful weather day. And what I'm looking at here is especially the chance for storms in the warm sector. So you have your cold front here, you have your warm front coming out like this, and everything in the middle right here, this is your warm sector. All of the storms that develop in there, you can see them right here and here, have the potential to be severe. And I actually believe the severe weather potential is moderate at this point, and that's, it's worth watching is what I'm getting at. And the winter weather potential certainly there as well, at least for the Great Lakes and northern New England. As this continues to move through Sunday, we see a bit more organization. I definitely see a potential severe threat in the southeast. I definitely see it across the Midwest, especially as that cold front pulls through. And you can see heavy snow in the back end in Illinois, Wisconsin, through Michigan. The system continues reaching the East Coast here as we get towards the end of the weekend. Could definitely be storms across the East Coast. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 2-day or even 3-day severe weather threat. That snow eventually moves on and out. So that's sort of what we're looking at in terms of what radar may appear to be. But I want to show you the reason I believe there may be severe weather. And it starts with a jet stream, because this is what fuels a lot of our severe storms. Remember, as we get into Wednesday and Thursday, there is the potential for some storm activity out there. Thursday, I'm not convinced yet that we'll see severe weather. Jet stream's kind of oriented in a weird way, but there may be at least some storms that develop out in that portion of the country. It's something we'll have to watch. Meanwhile, it is pretty quiet here. We have a ridge that develops, and that's going to keep us dry across the southwestern and south central U.S. On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But here we are on Friday, and our next jet begins to approach, our next trough. And we're going to see that wind energy begin to increase, especially here on Saturday, which is part of the reason I'm concerned about a severe threat here on Saturday. There's your little jet. It's not very strong, so I'm not thinking a high-end outbreak, but there is enough wind energy that we have the potential to fuel something. On Sunday, though, that trough digs a little bit deeper, so basically our storm system strengthens, and that's where we have a good amount of wind energy, and that could definitely fuel a severe weather threat on Sunday, like I said, across the Midwest and into the southeast as well. So we'll need to watch that closely, and even onto the East Coast, you can see that jet still present. If we have enough instability, I could see this actually being something along the mid-Atlantic, even into portions of the southeast. Could be a severe weather risk to make note of. Of course, we need instability for that to occur as well, and in fact, we will have it. So here we are Thursday. There's that very conditional threat in the the Midwest out there on Thursday. Here's Friday. You can see instability increases a bit more, and then more importantly, on Saturday and on Sunday, you have plenty of instability to fuel severe storms. Again, this does look like a severe weather risk, especially on Sunday the 30th across the Midwest and Southeast, and even reaching the East Coast. Anywhere you see those green and gray colors, that's just enough instability to fuel a severe weather threat. So certainly those are 2 days we'll be watching closely. Now I want to show you how this system really throws around temperatures, but just wanted to give you one more look at some of the AI data, by the way, coming in. Suggesting there it is, that low severe weather threat here on Friday in a couple spots. I could see some storms, a low chance, maybe a marginal risk for severe weather pops up there. Then on Saturday, we have that heightened risk as the system begins to move across the country, especially bullseye there around Arkansas. I could definitely see a slight risk then. And then on Sunday, I definitely, again, see the potential for a slight risk. Could be more depending on how the details come together, but those are 2 days we're watching. And by the way, in terms of snowfall, you can see here, this gives us an idea more or less of the potential for a 3-inch snowfall, we'll call it. It largely stays in Canada, but once again, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and northern New England have at least a chance at a 3-inch snowfall as this system crosses the country Thursday through Sunday. So we'll be watching that, and before we wrap up the video, like I said, you got to see these temperatures because they change a lot in the next couple weeks. Going to keep this part quick, but let me show you these temperatures. These are your air masses first off, and as you can see in the beginning of the week, the southwestern U.S. and western U.S., which has been relatively cool through the month of March, is going to be far more spring-like, and it's going to stay that way until our system comes in here on Thursday, and it pushes that much farther to the east. Meanwhile, the East Coast, which has been really mild, Not saying it's going to be cold, but it will be back to typical March weather until, again, this system moves that warm air farther to the east as we go throughout this week. Let me show you the actual temperatures on the ground, or at least give you a preview of what they're probably going to be looking like. We'll start here on Monday. As we get into the afternoon, you can see temperatures reaching the 70s as far north as Nebraska. We're getting back to the 70s and 80s out in the south and west. A bit cooler in the northeast. Near your Tuesday high temperatures, we're looking at 40s in the northeast, 70s again, central part of the country, 70s and 80s out west. And we're going to keep doing that here on Wednesday. That mild weather sticks around out there. On Thursday, that's where things begin to tip. You can see the central U.S. very warm. We could have 70s as far north as Montana, 80s, but potentially into Nebraska as that system arrives. And we'll be quickly seeing that shift farther and farther east as we go through the week. There's your warm weather on Friday, middle of the country. On Saturday and the rest of the weekend, you see it again reaching the more southeastern half of the United States. The Northeast begins to warm up too, back to the 50s again by the time it gets next week, and back to the 50s and temperatures at least of above average once more. So that's our forecast for those areas over the next several days as these temps flip around a bit. And with that, if you're not already following, be sure to follow as we continue to track this weather. Ask your questions in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from, what weather you're seeing. I like to talk weather. I like to hear from you guys what you want to hear more of. And I just put out a video on dry thunderstorms. Just as like a little educational thing. So if you want to learn any kind of weather, just let me know too. Happy to help you and looking to grow a community here on YouTube. So with that, I'll see you next time. Have a good week, guys. Stay safe.